This is not a trick, but it's a treat. Get the rest of October for just $1.99. Why pay $1.19 for 7-day all access when our Halloween special gets you every play through October 31st for only $1.99? If you buy today, it's $1.99. If you buy tomorrow, it's $1.99. And if you buy Saturday, it's $1.99. Get up to 25 days for only $1.99, so pay as little as under $8 a day for every play, including 5% best bets that normally sell for $40. This offer is valid through Sunday at midnight at WagerTalk.com and select handicappers at SportsMemo.com.
Teddy Covers the Prez. Welcome to WagerTalk Today, everybody. Love having you waiting in the chat room for us. Thank you guys so much. Chance, Craig, Guitar It, Frank, Bud, Mike Campbell. I love that blazer. You look good.
Well, thank you, Lawrence. Though, I mean, pretty much every guest that we have or every day on the show, you're talking about what their hair looks like, what their outfit looks like. For most sports bettors I know, they could give two shits what you look like. All they care about is if you're giving winners or giving good info. But I appreciate you noticing my outfit every day. Thank you.
Okay, well, listen, I'm no regular sports bettor, and we need to give winners out. Big show today. Rob Vino and Kenny White today. Both are just outstanding. Rob Vino's going to look at the Florida State Notre Dame game, Pittsburgh, Boston College, and Cincinnati and Baltimore. Kenny White, a 4-pack, brother. Louisville game, NC State, Kansas State, and Clemson. Plus your big game breakdown. What do you got for us?
Tonight's Game 5 of the NBA Finals, the Lakers and the Heat. We'll take that apart later in the show. We'll also do some bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books, talking about the results from last night. And, of course, we'll close out with Ralph Michaels and his trends and angles. T&A with Ralph, a highlight of just about every show.
Yeah, that is for sure. As one of our commenters said, he casts a large shadow. One you and I are trying to fill, but we ever will. Let's bring Rob Vino in. Let's get straight to it. Robert Vino, looking good, brother. You and I need to make a commitment to each other. Okay. Not that kind of commitment. Not that. Don't get excited. I know I'm handsome.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a firm one, Chris.
Breathe. Ooh, a pun. We need to both commit that at some point in October, we do a better headshot for the website, because yours is maybe worse than mine, and mine is horrific.
We could do that.
Okay, so there you go, guys.
That's a firm commitment.
Okay, if neither of us do it, we will donate $100 to a food bank in Las Vegas.
That's a firmer commitment.
Okay, there we go. Okay, Florida State, Notre Dame. Florida State plus 21, a couple of 20.5s on the board. Notre Dame, clearly the superior team, a total of 52. What do we do? Where do we go?
Well, I'm taking the short approach in this one, Prez. I'm going to play first half under for various reasons. I think the total on the first half is 27.5 here. For Florida State, as we saw last week, they found what they think is going to be their starting quarterback. Third-teamer Jordan Travis came in against the FCS Jacksonville State team and led the Florida State team to 5 consecutive touchdowns. They were behind when he came in. They rattled off 5 TDs. They won pretty easily. So Travis, your sophomore starter for Florida State, their third starting quarterback, by the way, guys, in 3, now what'll be 4 games. I think that is cause for a little bit of concern. First time on the road against this Notre Dame defense. I'll get into that a little bit more in a second here. We'll look at the Notre Dame coronavirus situation, which has gotten better. A couple of weeks ago when they didn't play Wake Forest, there were 39 cases for whatever reason. Now they're down to 11. It does not affect their top 2 strings on offense or defense. So they're good as far as players that will hit the field are concerned. Florida State, on the other hand, fellas, still shuffling some personnel here. The offensive line is a work in progress. Like I said, it's the third starting quarterback in 3 weeks. haven't really gotten anybody rolling here on the offensive side of the football. And head coach Mike Norvell said that defensively he's rotating so many players in and out of the game because nobody wants to take the lead. So, it's a new system on both sides of the football. Really, it hasn't gotten cohesive yet. So when you're still working on things that the coach described, pad level, communication, alignment, that's a little bit of a concern defensively for Florida State. But here's what I feel are the keys to the game. Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelly admitted that he's trying to get his team to avoid a slow start here. He likens this to their season opener against Duke, where they came out of the gate very slow. Their wide receiving core was ravaged by injury. They're going to work a couple of starters back in this week, but it seems to me, reading between the lines, they're going to rely heavily on the running game early, grind some clock, try and beat up that Florida State defensive line. I would say the same for Florida State. Simplified game plan for your brand new quarterback on the road here. Both of those, to me, suggest a slow start early. Notre Dame has already showed us one against Duke, as I mentioned. So for me, 4 touchdowns with the extra points in college kickers seems to be a little too high. So I'm going to play under 27.5 first half, figuring that this is going to be a slow starting game and really run dominated.
And one of the things I really liked about that breakdown, Rob, was you explaining why you wanted to do a first half bet as opposed to a full game bet. Because I think a lot of recreational players, a lot of beginning bettors are like, well, I like the under. I'll play first quarter under, first half under, full game under, or over, whatever it is. They're going to split it up between different wagers. When I make a first half play, and I think when you make a first half play, we're making it because there's something that's keeping us off the full game, but that makes a ton of sense for the first half. Here, with 2 offenses that may be slow starting, certainly Notre Dame hasn't played in a while, and this is going to be a big step up for a QB making his first road start for the Seminoles. Given those 2 circumstances, the first half under makes more sense than the full game under. Agree?
Yeah, definitely, Teddy. I mean, the second half could loosen up a little bit. They could let Ian Book throw a little bit more in the second half. I know that one of the starting wide receivers on a snap.
Well,
Hey guys, Teddy, I'll tell you something. We're seeing so much of this first half, first quarter bets. Ralph Michaels last night with a first quarter bet in the Tampa Bay game. It won. It's amazing the perch that me and you have sat on over the last 30 years, just sort of watching this industry change and evolve. We've talked about how many more teasers are being bet. We talk about the half times and the quarter lines. I love it. Just more option to find value. And Rob Vino, I love that you're doing that, man. I think it's outstanding.
Yeah, it's always something to look at, Prez, especially in circumstances like this. They're few and far between, but you can find them. So we're going to stick with that Florida State ND under first half for the reasons I mentioned.
Excellent stuff, man. Let's get to the Pittsburgh-Boston College game. Pitt -6. The total here is 44. They're expecting a low-scoring game, and really, the line makers are telling you they're not really expecting much from Boston College at all on the offensive side. Where are we going to go in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here, and there's been a huge line jump, guys. 3.5 opener, all the way up to 6. You're way better off if you got the early number, but in my opinion, Pittsburgh can win this game by at least 8 points. Few reasons why here. Worry a lot about Boston College's offensive line against this Pittsburgh pass rush, and the fact that BC's new starting quarterback, Phil Jurkovec, is a drop back in the pocket passer. He's not a scrambler. So for him to be sitting there, and for Pittsburgh, a team that's had 16 quarterback sacks in their last 3 games. Remember back to last year, I think they led the nation in sacks. And Boston College, an offensive line that's allowed 9 sacks in their last 2 games. Those make for a great matchup for Pitt rushing the passer, for sure. And if I combine that with what's really strange here, guys, but BC's inability to run the football this year. We know them as an offensive line-dominated team, a team that hands off, plays power football. This year, if you just go by the overall averages, they're averaging 70.3 rushing yards per game, 2.4 per carry. I'm going to revert back to Teddy, what one of our old colleagues at Sports Memo, Brent Crow, used to do. And weed out the sack yardage and give you true rushing yards on Boston College. They're still not impressive, but if you take out their sack yardage, BC, true rushing, 77 carries this year for 286 yards. It's only 3.7 per. And the Pittsburgh defense, true rushing yardage-wise, only allows 2.5 per carry. So all of those matchups work in the favor of Pitt's defense. They can stop the run. They can rush the passer. Two big edges for me against the BC offense. I like Pitt. Somewhat of a counter to that might be that Devin Leary, the quarterback for NC State, threw for 4 TDs and 336 yards against Pittsburgh last week, and they won that game 30-29. But I would say that, every game is a matchup of styles, and these are two totally different offenses, NC State and BC. NC State has instituted a power spread underneath Tim Beck, the new OC there. And what the power spread does, guys, is it runs the football, which NC State's got a good stable of running backs. But in the passing game, it's mostly sprint outs with a mobile quarterback, a dual threat guy, short passes, quick reads. That fits fine, and it hurt Pittsburgh last week, but it's not what BC does. BC's changed to a pro-style, traditional type drop back vertical down the field with an immobile quarterback. So I still like the matchup for Pitt's defense. I like Kenny Pickett. I might be in the small minority there.
Oh, looks like Vino froze again.
All good, dude. Let's just stare at a frozen Rob Vino. There he is.
I'll close with this, guys, real quick. In their 3 games this year, Pittsburgh has outgained their opponents by 143 yards per game. Every opponent they've played, they've outgained by at least 105 yards. On the other side of the ledger, BC has been outgained by 25 yards per game. I think their 26-22 matchup with UNC last week was a little bit fraudulent. I'll still take Pittsburgh minus the current price of 6.
He's Rob Vino. Sorry, Teddy. Go ahead.
I want to ask you at this stage of the season, Rob. We have one team with a head coach and a systems who've been there in Narduzzi for some time. And you have the other team in Hafley that didn't have there's no continuity for BC from last year to this year. By October, do we worry about that anymore? Or is that one of those deals where, the coaches with the new staffs and the new systems, they're in place already, and you don't worry about it as much in a matchup between returning system and new system here in 2020?
Yeah, and all individual, right, Teddy? I think in this case of BC, I would worry. There's other teams across the nation that have incorporated new systems that I wouldn't worry about, but this BC situation doesn't look real good right now. When they can't run the football, that's a problem for Boston College. Look at it however you want. Do you think that their offensive line play is down? Or do you just think it's a product of the opposition? I'm not sure, but when I look at it, I think the offensive line play is down and they're not getting the system yet. So I would worry about the BC situation.
Rob Vino, awesome stuff, man. We're going to talk one more game, but before that, let's get to the promo that is up for you. You're the #1 handicapper at WagerTalk for the year 2020, the entire year, all sports. Congratulations. Rolling in NFL as well, 15-6 run, if I remember correctly. And you got an NFL play up for Sunday that is only $11. You want to promote that quickly?
Yeah, it's part of our $11 Wednesday promotion. It's been up for a few days now. You can certainly get it at WagerTalk.com. It is an NFL totals play. Totals have been very, very good to me over the years, so kind of try to stick to those mostly. But, that's up and available right now, Prez, $11, WagerTalk.com.
Speaking of totals, bro, you're going with the Cincinnati Baltimore game. Plus 13 for Cincinnati. Total, though, is 51. That's where we're going to look. So, over or under?
We're going to look over. I'll get.
Yeah. Teddy, man, 51. It's a big number for that Baltimore defense. I can't wait to hear what.
It's a big number, especially if Lamar Jackson isn't healthy. But let's see what Rob says about Lamar Jackson's health. Jackson, of course, missing practice Wednesday and Thursday, the first time in his NFL career that he's missed practices on back-to-back days.
Am I good now? Is Joe stop freezing me yet? Good. Let's go here, guys. Fundamentals of the game real quick. The concern you have for Cincinnati is their offensive line against the Baltimore pass rush, right? You would think Baltimore's a blitz-style team. Cincinnati's allowed 14 sacks in their last 3 games. But then you take a deeper look at the Baltimore pass rush, guys. How about Pro Football Focus having them rated as the 32nd pass rush out of 32 teams, dead last in the NFL? They've only come up with 9 sacks in 4 games. That would stun some people to think that Baltimore has the worst rated pass rush in the NFL. But it seems to be through their metrics, how they rate them. And Cincinnati's got a lot of ways to attack now, guys. You have to love the development of Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon out of the backfield, this wide receiving trio now since T. Higgins has come along, A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd with him. They've got the weapons to produce if they can keep Joe Burrow upright, and it would seem that for the most part, they'll be able to do so here. If you look at the other side of the coin, the Bengals have the 29th rated pass rush. Baltimore should chew that up without any problem. They've only got 9 sacks in 4 games, just like Baltimore. Their run.
Rob Vino having a little bit of issues.
All right,
Voila!
The rush defense for Cincinnati, guys, 545 rush yards allowed, 181.7 per game the last 3 weeks. Fits right into the mold of what Baltimore wants to do. And real quickly, let's get to the Lamar Jackson issue. The knee kept him out of Wednesday's practice. Stomach illness kept him out of Thursday's practice. Doesn't seem significant enough right now to keep him out. We'll see if he hits the practice field today. They should be on the field right now. But unless this becomes a coronavirus situation, which you have to think of all the time with stomach illness, then I wouldn't worry about him playing at all. I looked up and down the Baltimore opponent list. He hasn't come in contact with a team that's reported coronavirus illnesses. So I think he's going to be okay. I'm looking for Lamar Jackson to start here. His career against Cincinnati, this is the team that he excels against the best. 71% completions in 3 games against Cincinnati, 336 rushing yards in 3 games against Cincinnati. He may not rush for that many this week, but I think they're going to do their job. I like this thing over the total of 51.
So, Rob, I want to ask you real quick. All right, I ranted early in the week when David Payne Purdom, who's a good writer for ESPN Chalk, but he quoted this survey that had Nevada ranked as the 10th best state for sports betting. I'm like, it's a dumb survey. Any survey that's going to give Nevada as the 10th best state and come out with that is using bad parameters. The Baltimore Ravens do not have the dead last pass rush in the NFL. If you've watched them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the one game against Kansas City, there were 18 times they almost got to Mahomes and didn't get to him. Do you worry about those metrics? Because when I see Ravens with the 32nd ranked pass defense, to me, garbage in, garbage out, that's bad numbers because the Ravens do not have the worst pass defense in the NFL. Not close.
Yeah,
not even close.
You know what, Teddy, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's why I listed my first concern as Cincinnati's offensive line being able to protect Joe Burrow here, because you know that it's a blitz-happy team. They may not always get there. I don't know what their metrics are. So, sometimes those metrics get so deep and so full of nonsense. I don't pay attention to a lot of them. I was surprised by that ranking. If it was me, I wouldn't rank them 32nd, but I'm more concerned with the fact that they haven't gotten home.
Oh, that's
Teddy,
the last time you get to do that.
Yeah, let's call it a day, brother. I'm telling you, I am sweating in this room of mine. I don't know. We put the heat on in the house. That's how bad it's getting, and I'm like pouring sweat. Rob Vino, we've heard your stuff. It's always great. We love you. We'll see you next Friday. Thanks for joining us, brother. Let's go to a commercial break.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
It's time for bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books here on WagerTalk Today. A little recap of what happened last night from a betting perspective. Let's start in the NFL, where the Bears pulled off the outright upset against the Tampa Bay Bucks as home dogs. And that was absolutely a sharp square divide game. The wise guys were on the home dog Bears. The public was on the Bucks. And the wise guys beat the public, at least last night. NFL unders on fire right now. Under cashes in again last night since that stretch of overs. In the early games last week, the only game to go over the total in the late games, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game, the Thursday night game, was Raiders-Bills, which went over the total by a hook, by a half point last night, the under cashing in. And, of course, Arians kicks the field goal on a 4th and 1. That kind of screwed over bettors in that one. Under gets the money. In college football, it was Houston and over, the favorite and over. Not the best combination for the books, but certainly it was not a disaster game. Cougars-Tulane was not a heavily bet game last night. MLB action worth noting. Miami money, the Marlins got swept. Yankees money, the Yankees forced a game 5, so split between those two. The wise guys bet the Padres and over. The public bet the Dodgers and over. And the Dodgers run line and over. The run line and the over cash. That's one the public got the better of the wise guys. Public bet Dodgers. Wise guys bet Padres. There's your book report from last night. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Yeah, bro, I had a rough one. I won my baseball game again. My God, am I in the zone in baseball or what? But my 5% play was Tulane. Talk about a bad bet. Up 24-7, and then they couldn't tackle again. Should have been 100-7 for Houston. That was just an outright brain fart by me. And I was on Tampa Bay as well, minus the 3 when it dropped down, and 5 field goals. Teddy, before we get to Kenny White, just really curious. I was talking to Tony Finn about this. Tampa Bay, offense struggling, or that defense in Chicago is really, really good. How do we look at that game for next week?
I'll answer that in just a second, but it is worth noting. I asked Ralph Michaels because the Houston Cougars were -5 in turnovers last night, and they won the game. And they won by margin. They won by 18.
Yeah.
Teams that I asked Ralph, since 2017, teams that were -5 in turnovers had been 1-90 ATS. Now those teams are 2-90 ATS. That's the Houston Cougars and what they did last night, winning despite the -5 turnover margin, winning and covering despite that. So only happened 2 times in 92 tries since 2007 that a team covered like Houston did last night. Now you're asking me about what?
Yeah, I mean, what do we think about, is the Bears D all world? Is Tampa Bay offense starting to sputter? I mean, it's such an interesting game last night, especially if we're looking forward.
Don't overreact to Thursday night. Of all the things not to overreact to, Thursday night games are maybe the biggest one because nobody's ready. And if you watch, Brady had nothing last night. Brady needs a full week between games. Brady's arm isn't ready.
Yeah.
You watch the last 2 drives for Tampa, and Brady was hopeless back there. But at the same time, every key call went to Chicago in that game. There was the fumble, with an incomplete pass that turned into a touchdown somehow before halftime, and the roughing the passer when he hit him right as he threw, and you never make that call, and yet the call went to Chicago. So the refs have kept the Bears relevant, but I'm not taking away from Tampa that there's anything significantly wrong with the Bucks. They're a work in progress, especially with their lack of skill position talent right now. Remember, Tampa's got cluster injuries at wide receiver, and it certainly showed last night.
God, every team. I've never seen so many injuries in my life. Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. Gordon Matthews, Chance, Amir, Fred Galoop, Birdie, we love having you. Cristiano, nice to see you. Maurice, Jamal, really means the world to both Teddy and I every single day. We will never take for granted you guys taking time out of your day to log in and join us. Make sure to hit that like button, please. Also, guys, make sure to take advantage of our $199 offer. Any handicapper you want for the entire month of October. Look, it's October 9th. So you got another 22 days for $199. Just head over to WagerTalk.com. Pick your handicapper, and the $199 will be there for you. I know a bunch of you guys are talking about Eddie Van Halen. Rest in peace to him. What a life. He left a mark on this planet, one we all know very well. And Whitey Ford, R.I.P. to you. On that quick break, Kenny White, and a ton of incredible information.
This is not a trick, but it's a treat. Get the rest of October for just $199. Why pay $119 for 7-day all access when our Halloween special gets you every play through October 31st for only $199? If you buy today, it's $199. If you buy tomorrow, it's $199. And if you buy Saturday, it's $199. Get up to 25 days for only $199. So pay as little as under $8 a day for every play, including 5% best bets that normally sell for $40. This offer is valid through Sunday at midnight at WagerTalk.com and select handicappers at SportsMemo.com.
Teddy, I love this segment. The most awesome guy not part of the Wager Talk family yet, Kenny White. But wait a minute. We got your big game breakdown. You know what, Kenny?
Yes. No, Prez, that comes after.
Oh, that comes after,
Kenny. We've been doing this
Prez
show for more than a month now. Keep
okay,
sweating,
guys.
dude.
Okay,
Turn the heat
whatever.
up.
Kenny White, welcome to the show, dude. How are you? How have you been? We missed you last Friday.
I'm doing great. It's great when you're looking at for sports talk radio or sports talk whatever, sports talk information. It's good. It's entertainment. It's funny, and you know what? There's honesty here at Wager Talk. When you hear Prez come on, he says, "I'm killing baseball. I'm in a zone, and I'm 15-3." But you're honest, and you come back with, I had a 5% play on Tulane, and I had Tampa. So you're telling the people the truth, but that's what it is. I had Tulane last night. I was feeling comfortable about it. A 97-yard kick return for Houston helped them a little bit as well, but it did show Houston was the better team on the field. But anyway, honesty is the best. And you know what? I also learned a really good piece of information this morning. Teddy brought up a great point about Tom Brady. He needs that full week. I can't wait to bet against Tom Brady on a short week the rest of the season, because it's true. He doesn't have the arm strength. He's not an elite quarterback anymore. He's a below average quarterback. That's what he is. He's not even an average NFL quarterback. He's a below average. Tampa, their weapons are 8 points better than the Patriots' weapons. That's why he's looking that much better with the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
so
great
anyway,
point, Kenny. And
thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Kenny, I agree, Teddy, with what Kenny said. I think you made a really good point about Brady on short rest and something we need to pay attention to.
Well, it's
Kenny,
not just Brady. When you look at your Phillip Rivers, when you look at your Ben Roethlisbergers, when you look at your quarterbacks that are approaching or on the wrong side of 40 and ask them to get ready on a short week, they don't tend to do that well. And we saw that from Brady last night. And again, the last two guys were hopeless.
So many NFL guys, ex-players or whatever, and when you talk to them about, hey, is it really that physical? Is it that big of a beating? They can't move on Monday. They're walking around crippled like old men. Tuesday, they're really sore and hurting. Wednesday, they're just starting to get back to a little bit of normalcy. And then Thursday, they're starting to feel right. That's their entire week. Every single one of them, except for the guys that don't play. Yeah. But the guys that are in there playing, that is the entire week that they're not good until Friday or Saturday.
And to add to that, Kenny, I watched something where some of the linemen lose close to 30 pounds in one game, and then it takes 3 days just to get that back. You see the smoke coming off of the back of those guys. Anyway, college football, let's go. Louisville, Georgia Tech. We had a Louisville pick yesterday. I'm guessing you're. Oh, there you are. You're on Louisville as well. Regale us.
Yeah, it's a 5%er for me too. Talking about bankroll wise, that's what I'm going to play on this game, and I did. I laid 4. Georgia Tech is a program that went from the Paul Johnson triple option to now a more passing spread offense that they didn't have the players last year. They did not have any wide receivers that could catch. They didn't have a quarterback that could throw. So they brought in Jeff Sims. He's their starting quarterback. He started as a freshman. But anytime you're trying to go from a triple option, it's like taking Army, Navy, or Air Force to a spread passing up-tempo offense. It's going to take 3 years to bring those players in to make that the right change. We got fooled a little bit when Georgia Tech beat Florida State. Georgia Tech is not a very good football team because they have the athletes, but they don't have the players to have the experience to play at this high of a level in college football yet. And it showed. And their quarterback Sims has gone down all 3 games, and now he might be facing the best team he's faced. Louisville's loaded. Mikhail Cunningham, if you look at his stats from last year, he should have just gone after the draft then. It's like that's the year he had. It's like you just drop the mic, you're done, you walk off the stage. 11.5 yards a pass he averaged, 22 touchdowns, 5 INTs. He's already got 5 INTs this year, but 3 came against Pittsburgh. His stats were tremendous against Miami of Florida and Western Kentucky. Georgia Tech's defense is not as good as Miami of Florida's. Mikhail Cunningham will have a big game. And the big thing is you want to have teams that are motivated. Louisville's 1-2 so far in the conference. They're motivated to come win this football game. They'll win here. They're the better team. They'll win by 10 here tonight.
Is your handicap any different because it's a single event national TV game on Friday night, or it doesn't matter if this game will be played at noon on Saturday or 5 o'clock on Friday night? It's the same handicap either way.
The only difference, Teddy, on me is when I got a single game. It's depending on the time between games. Is I'd rather have the better coach and the guy that's more familiar with his team and the quarterback that's been there, especially in college. In the NFL, you want to bet against rookies on Thursday night because they don't have as much time to get ready for the game. That's the only difference. There's no other difference than that.
Great stuff. Kenny White, we absolutely love having you with us, dude. NC State, Virginia. Looks like you're betting the total in this game, 59.5. Tell us.
Should be fun. I had Virginia last week against Clemson, and I talked about, I've followed Bronco Mendenhall for a long time. He's one of my favorite coaches. And he was one of my favorite coaches because they're very telling and you can win bets with them. And Bronco, when he didn't have a good offense, he always slowed things down and he won games. He's Bill Belichick. Look what Bill Belichick did against the Chiefs. Well, that's Bronco Mendenhall. He does whatever he has to do. Now, Bronco Mendenhall is playing fast, up-tempo football. He's got a good quarterback. He's got great skill players. He's got an offensive line. He knows he's got a terrific offense and he can count on them. And he knows his defense may get a little bit tired, but he's not worried about that because he knows his offense is so good. They put up 23 against Clemson. They're going to put up 35-40 in this game. And NC State brought in Tim Beck from Texas to go up-tempo. Devin Leary didn't play the first game. He didn't have a good year last year as a redshirt freshman, but I thought, well, maybe he didn't play because he didn't fit the system, but he was I guess he had COVID or had an illness the first week. But boy, Leary stepped in. Unbelievable stats, his 2 games in this offense. So this is going to be a fun game to watch, back and forth. Both teams get into the 30s here.
So you talked about Bronco Mendenhall and how he's someone you've been following for a long time. And, I've been out here in Vegas now. This is my 23rd football season. I remember Bronco Mendenhall when he brought the 3-3-5 defense to New Mexico as their defense coordinator. That's got to be 20 years ago.
Way ahead of the time. The 3-3-5 is to stop the passing game. That's you're basically a nickel defense, and he was way ahead of his time bringing that to college football.
So this is my question: does this quote unquote intimate knowledge of the coaches, how does it pay off? When you've known these guys and followed many of these coaches for 10, 20, for you, 30 years, how do you use that info?
I use it in making notes of my book, like guys that don't run scores up, that his teams play to the level of the competition. So when you got a guy that plays to the level of the competition, You don't want to lay double-digit points with a coach like that because he just doesn't care about winning that way. He's going to play more players, and that's the reason sometimes they don't cover big spreads. He doesn't play his starters for the entire game, where there are other coaches that, they just want to win by as many as they possibly can win by. So you got to make notes on each coach. You follow what they do. And Bronco, not Bronco, but I'll tell you one now, Iowa State's coach, Campbell, he's been great to follow. He does not run scores up anymore. He plays as many players as he possibly can. So he doesn't cover big spreads against these weaker teams. So that's how I use those coaches to my advantage to win bets.
Man, that is such a great point, Kenny. Some incredible information. Speaking of a coach that doesn't like to run it up, a coach that doesn't even like to take an extra point when there's a cover involved. TCU played outstanding last week. Now they face Kansas State -8.5. I know you like KS. Talk to me.
Yeah, I do. And this coach, Chris Kleiman's one of the best in college football. People don't know much about him. I'm sure he's spent 1 year at Kansas State so far, but he was at North Dakota State before then, and tremendous job there. I watched several Kansas State games last year. I love the way they play. Fundamentally sound football. They tackle, they block, they do everything, all the little things, and they have talent. Their quarterback, Skylar Thompson, great dual threat quarterback. This is a really solid football team. TCU is good. I've had to raise their rating up. I said before the year, Gary Patterson's team has gone downhill over the last 5-6 years. They built them a new stadium back in 2012, 2013. They thought that was going to be the end-all, be-all. They were going to be in the national championship. They haven't been anywhere close. Their recruiting has dropped from the top 20 to around the high 20s is where they've been the last 4 or 5 years. So they're just not getting the same type of player they used to get. But you know what? They've looked good. They've played really well to start this season so far. So I've had to raise their rating. Even raising their rating up this high, I still only have them a 1-point favorite over K-State in this game. And Kleiman, 11-5 ATS since he started at K-State, but he's 5-1 ATS in his road games. That's always very important to find a good coach, that he has his players prepared on the road. Obviously, this is no road game, no fans in the stands. This will be a close game, right down to the wire. Love K-State here.
Skylar Thompson, the K-State quarterback, has been dealing with a shoulder injury. You have any info on how healthy he is? I think that may be why this line is so much higher than both you and I expected.
That's exactly what I thought, Teddy. And when I looked up and read a couple articles, he was probable early in the week. I thought, well, if he's probable that early, he wasn't even questionable. He was probable. I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing that they think he's that probable early. So I'm kind of confident. The backup, the guy, the freshman that stepped in, he's 6'5", 225, and had tremendous numbers against Texas Tech. I didn't expect him to be that good, but boy, he had a really good football game. I don't want to have to use him because it is a 5.5-point drop-off if Skylar Thompson didn't play in this game. So I'd make the line 6.5. I'd be sitting on the sidelines. I'd just, write the scores in my book, write the stats down, check all the lineups, and I'd be done with it. But this one I got a bet on, and I hope Skylar Thompson can play this game out. But Chris Kleiman, he loves the power running game. He loves to shorten football games, and he knows how to win football games.
Kenny, last game, we're going to talk Clemson, Miami, a big matchup. Clemson, you're looking at the total again here. Talk to me.
Yeah, why not? Miami, the offense is great. They play up tempo. They're I think right now they're the fastest offense in college football in terms of time between plays. Derek King has been tremendous. The defense is good. They're not great. So Clemson, we know how good Clemson is, and Clemson's going to get their points in this football game. Last week we saw Virginia get 23 against Clemson. Well, I think Miami's offense is better than Virginia's, and they play much faster, much faster. I think it's just going to be a fun game to watch, back and forth college football. I made this total 68. It's 62 and a half in that range. So I had a little wiggle room at 68 too. I could have made it a little bit higher if I wanted to, but I decided to be conservative on it because it is a big game. So if it wasn't this is such a big game for both teams, they're undefeated. I would have actually made the total 71, but in these type of games that I know are big conference games, I do take 3 points off. So still, even taking those 3 points off, I still got a good leverage in this total.
Kenny White says, take a good hard look at that Miami Clemson over. And Kenny, First, let's start with this. What do you want to promote? When you break down games like that, you get to promote whatever you want here on Wager Talk Today.
Well, on my website at kennywhitesports.com, you can still purchase the college magazine if you want to do that, but you can get the projection models. They're $49 for the entire year, 1 year, $4 a month it basically cost you. If you purchase today, you'll get the projection model next year for college football. You'll have the power ratings in July on each team and the projected final scores of every game for the 2021 season. So, and every week the power ratings are updated. You get injury information on player values that may be out, may be in, and then the projected final scores of every game that hasn't been played for the 2020 season so far. Got an NFL projection site as well. Same thing, $49 for that. If you want to buy both, $79.99 for both.
If you like Kenny's information, and I do, and that's why we have him on the show every week, please give us a like here at Wager Talk Today. I understand all of you out in viewerland, you're all doing something. Just take a minute. Just click that button and give us a like. We really appreciate that. Kenny, thank you so much for your time today. We'll be back on Wager Talk Today with big game breakdown. Lakers Heat Game 5 tonight, plus Ralph Michaels TNA coming up.
There for you guys to sort of follow along and make money. Guys, send it out. Kev?
Send
the Irish. The
Sorry,
Irish.
like, what? I missed it. Like, what do you want me to say? Joe, cut.
I didn't even wave my money, man. So I forgot to wave my money. And boys, I'm bringing the cash. All right, so it's all there.
You may as well give that money to me, Carm. I'll pick the winner for you.
That's like it's like 8K here. That's like what an average Irishman makes in a year. Settle down, Nick. It's tough to play golf with cement shoes, my friend. And you've got an Irishman and an Italian on this show with you. Because let me tell you, I'm bringing the cash. So I have a couple.
What
completely
bank did you rub,
again.
Carm? What bank did you rub for that?
I was gonna go to the Irish one, but they were all out drinking. Actually, it's probably easy to rob an Irish bank. I up the ending, motherfucker. Sorry, Joe.
Is it me? Am I interrupting you with that bank? Because I can cut that out.
I tucked the money back into the little bag over here and completely forgot it. The guys who will do the show with me, Nick Borman and Kevin Dolan of Sports. Sorry, mother. Hey guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com. Next week, Stoppage Time returns, and we have a Champions League preview show. All right, let me try that one more. You think I would get it? Oh God, hold on. Let's start this again. Hey guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with Kevin Dolan and Nick Borman. Guys, I've got a great deal. Buy 1 month of either my plays or Kevin Dolan's, and you get Nick's, all of Nick's plays absolutely free. Nick, if you have a problem with that, say something. All right, so Nick is good with that. Tune in next week, Stoppage Time, Champions League preview show. A ton of big bets happening, futures bets, group stage. Don't miss it.
It's big game breakdown time here on Wager Talk Today, and we got to talk about Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Lakers -7, let's call it 216 as the total right now over the Miami Heat. LA looks to close out Miami much the way they closed out each of their first three opponents in 5 games. They won by 9 against Portland in Game 5. They won by 23 against Houston, and then won by 10 against Denver. So they were able to take care of business in previous spots like this. Now, is it going to be easy against Miami? I don't think so. One thing we've seen from this Heat team repeatedly this postseason is the ability to dig deep. when they're down 20, when they're facing adversity, Miami has shown every bit of character that you can show. Even here in the finals, where they've been a banged-up basketball team, they've continued to hang tough. And remember, after getting blown out game one, if you played Miami at tip in each of the next 3 games, you've cashed. The Lakers have only covered that very first contest. The quote from Jimmy Butler, and you're always interested in the Jimmy Butler quote, "We just got to lock in on us, knowing that we can control a lot of these things. But our confidence ain't going nowhere. It's going to stay high. I'm going to make sure that it stays high because it's going to have to be at an all-time to get this next win." Miami's bringing it, whether that's going to be enough is another question. I've got a strong opinion on the side tonight, a 5% play. You can get that right now at Sports Memo or WagerTalk.com. What I think is mispriced that's worthy of talking about here is the total on this contest. A Miami team that had been executing at a very high level offensively. Game 2, 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, 90% from the free throw line. That only been done 3 times in the history of the NBA Finals. Miami did it in Game 2. And they came back in Game 3 shooting 50, 35, 90. Another huge offensive game. Well, that wasn't the case last time out. With AD guarding Jimmy Butler, there was a bit more attention on the defensive end of the court for LA. And similarly, I've been impressed with Miami's defensive adjustments in this series. Total sitting here 216 in a potential closeout game. I think the defense is in maximum intensity mode tonight. I'll look for the Lakers and Heat to stay under the total tonight in Game 5. And again, the 5% play on the side is available right now at Sports Memo or WagerTalk.com.
Great stuff, Teddy. Should be a fun game. Speaking of fun, man, that blooper reel that Joe put together for Carmine and stoppage time was absolutely hilarious. Just want to give a shout out to everybody. 2 p.m. Eastern stoppage. I think it was 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't know. Check out stoppage time. It is back today. Carm, put in the chat room, when is it? 1 p.m., 2 p.m. We'll figure it out while Ralph talks. 2 p.m. Eastern. So that's our soccer show. Ralph Michaels, where are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Show us what color pen you're using. Oh, it's like a pinky red.
No, it's solid red. So, make sure you go and eat Cat's Bagels because they need the dough. So that's what's on the pen.
Hey, nice call last night on Tampa Bay first quarter. Good win for you. Congratulations.
I really started diving into some first quarters and first halves, and it's been successful. So, excited just to expand the opportunities and finding value in those situations. I did want to mention something, Kenny, and I'll tell you what, guys. I love Kenny. I think he's a great handicapper. We talked throughout the week, so there's very few guys that I respect that I want their opinion. He talked about Iowa State not running up the score. Right now, Iowa State is running the 4th fewest plays in college football. When you're running only 59 plays per game on offense, the odds are you're not going to cover against a double-digit favorite. Only Navy, Florida Atlantic, and FIU are running fewer plays. So plays per game, an important thing to look at. The angle of the day, I'm not expecting a thumbs up from Teddy on this, but it's interesting. So they don't all have to get Teddy's approval. If someone asks me a question and I find it interesting, I look it up, and the results are interesting, I'm going to share it. So since 2007, NFL teams that went over Game 1, went over Game 2, went over Game 3, went over Game 4. What do you expect game number 5? Do you expect that they'll fall back and go under, or will they continue over the total? Surprised the heck out of me. Since 2007, it's occurred 23 times where a team's gone over each of the first 4 weeks. They've gone 4 overs, 18 unders, and a push. That is 82% to the under in game number 5. That applies to Buffalo, Las Vegas, and New Orleans. Teddy, I'm expecting a thumbs down, but I might hear you say, I think we're seeing Vegas catching up to those teams during the first month? Yay or nay?
Oh, it does not get a thumbs down for me. It gets a strong thumbs up. And again, I like the trends and angles that don't have a ton of parameters that make sense. Here's a team. We're talking about teams that cashing over week 1, cashing over week 2, cashing over week 3, cashing over week 4. The NFL marketplace is going to make their biggest adjustments off the games early in the season. And the adjustments October, November, December are lesser. So if a team's going to cash 4 straight overs, you're going to see that total really get inflated. And when a team catches 4 straight overs, what's the coach worried about? He's worried about a defense that isn't getting stops. Where's the emphasis? How do we slow down the opposing team? So you have a coaching emphasis likely to be on the defense side of the football and a total where the marketplace gets the irrational exuberance of, they keep cashing overs. 18-4-1 to the under, 82% since 2007. That is a trend that gets the Teddy Cover seal of approval. It makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But Ralph, I had a quick question about that. I mean, to me, what would be really interesting is to see the line progression. So, did they start at over 42, then 44, then 47? Now it's 51. That would be interesting.
I'll tell you what, Prez, we could just, all people have to do is go to goldsheet.com, look up the NFL logs, and they can see for themselves each week exactly where the total was. So that is an easy step that our viewers can do on their own without having to worry about run the numbers, and they can make their own assessment. Situational play of the day. I'm going to go with Carolina, guys. They're +1.5 or +2. I've got 2 systems that I like both of them that really help back my side here. The first is this. We have a team off a straight up and ATS win against a team off a straight up and ATS loss, and the line is between the 3s. Teddy, you talk about simple scenarios. It doesn't get simpler than that. A team off a win against a team off a loss. The line is competitive between the 3s. Those teams off a straight up and ATS win like Carolina, 31-10 straight up. And why did I bring in the straight up number? Well, it's because the lines are between the 3s. I'm not talking about a big favorite. I'm talking about an average line being exactly pick'em. So if you could find a pick'em line where you're getting a 31-10 straight up record, that's important. The ATS number, 31-8, 79% against the spread. So ATS win against ATS loss, line between the 3s. The team off the ATS win, 79% against the spread. And a second system here, road teams off a home game. Carolina was at home last week. They're on the road this week. And the team they're playing allowed 400 yards or more. We know the Falcons defense got ripped last week. Those teams, 74-32 against the spread, 79%. So 2 systems combined, my situational play of the day, Carolina plus the point or 1.5.
So again, this is one that makes a ton of sense. What are we talking about? This is actually a mathematical proof that momentum matters. All right. When you're in this tight point spread range, -3 to +3, you're expecting a competitive game. You're saying the team that won the previous week is much more likely to win against a team that lost the previous week. That, to me, Ralph, it speaks heavily towards the momentum theory of NFL football. Agree?
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, this is one that I look at. When you talked about the bird in the NFL, top to team being only 15. That's why these angles are so much more important in the NFL than in college, because the variance is so much smaller. So when we have those between the 3 angles, I'm one that often looks between the 3s. So when I'm giving out numbers, I look at between the 3s at home favorite of 3.5 to 6.5, home favorite of 7 or more. That's the way I break it down. I know a lot of people do home favorite as a point or more, but I do use between the 3s as a category in every sport I handicap. I think it's as important in college football, as in college basketball, as in the NBA and in the NFL. So WagerTalk, did you know? I wanted to, Joe, did you get that? Did you get that chart or not? Are we able to look at that? Okay. We had mentioned yesterday, and I don't mean to call anyone out when we're talking about numbers, because we're here to help people become better bettors. There's a lot of things that have changed since the extra point line got moved back. So what is the most common margins in the NFL. Well, if you're betting the NFL, this is imperative to know this information. So I did a chart. If you want to look at this in more detail, I posted on Twitter at CalSportsLV. Since they moved the extra point back in 2015, there have been 1,392 games. 14% of them have landed on 3, 10% on 7. No surprise. 24% have been 3 or 7. But then we get 6, 14, 10, and 5. That 5 that people used to say is a dead number, hell no. 5% of the games, and so far this year, 5 games have landed on 5, an even higher percentage. So change what you think, change those old thoughts that you had. Then it goes 8, 4, 1, 2, and then 17. So those are the top 11 margins in the NFL since they moved the extra point back, which dramatically changed the margins. You know, on Monday, we'll talk about totals, the totals that happen the most and the totals that fall on dead numbers. And, you know, the biggest, I'll just run through the one biggest line move from the look-ahead lines at the Superbook. Dallas was 11. Now they're 8.5. Joe's got the rest listed there. Appreciate it, Joe. I know we're running short on time. Back to you guys.
I tell you, Ralph, that chart is unbelievable. I mean, people need to print that thing up, brother. Thank you for doing all that work. A huge thanks to Rob Vino. 3 times he was on. Kenny White, Ralph Michaels, Teddy, and all of you guys, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get those likes up, Teddy. It's Friday. I don't have to deal with you until Monday. Take us home.
Yeah, really. This section right here is my favorite part of the whole week because I get to say bye-bye to Prez. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with us here on WagerTalk Today. Enjoy the weekend. Best of luck. Hope you win just about all your bets. Heck, I hope you win all your bets. We'll be back on Monday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon on the East Coast, right here on WagerTalk Today. Cheers.
This is not a trick, but it's a treat. Get the rest of October for just $1.99. Why pay $1.19 for 7-day all access when our Halloween special gets you every play through October 31st for only $1.99? If you buy today, it's $1.99. If you buy tomorrow, it's $1.99. And if you buy Saturday, it's $1.99. Get up to 25 days for only $1.99, so pay as little as under $8 a day for every play, including 5% best bets that normally sell for $40. This offer is valid through Sunday at midnight at WagerTalk.com and select handicappers at sportsmemo.com.